How goes the family? How goes it? Welcome back to Patterson L Properties. Hopefully, you all are doing great. I'm about to have the pleasure of having a great, intelligent mortgage professional on with us. I'm going to give her a call now, but if you're watching, please do the great three free things and like, share, and subscribe, family. And as I get everything in order, all right. So please bear with me. Hopefully, you guys are having a great day. It's Saturday. The weather, for the most part, is great everywhere. So I have no complaints. Life is good. No complaints whatsoever. So let's get it going. Let's get it going. All right. Always love to have the pleasure to interview other great real estate professionals and whatnot. So let me give her a call. Yes. I appreciate it. Bye bye. All right. So life is good. I have no complaints. We're going to get the train going and continuously make money moves, family. Using one of my favorite backgrounds today. So just waiting for it to come on. Participant, matter of fact, I think I have to. Nope. Let's get on that. Collapse. You go from there, family. It's because I always love having the pleasure to interview other people because I do a lot of talking, and I love to hear other professionals give their 2 cents in regards to the real estate market today and the real estate market of tomorrow. So at the end of the day, it's all good in the neighborhood. Make sure everything is squared away. And if you don't remember, Patterson L Properties, we're all about wholesaling real estate for people in distressed property situations. We buy tax properties. That's one of our biggest things. So we're able to work with a lot of other investors and things of that nature. Because, one thing real estate investors love is to be able to find a great house that's probably in a distressed situation that they can actually do a great fix and flip or buy and hold and, be able to increase their cash revenue, whether it's from a big sale or actually from monthly income and all that good stuff. There's nothing like the good monthly cash income, but a lot of people don't want to be landlords, and I can understand that as well. So a lot of people just end up saying, "Hey, I just want to buy the property, fix it, flip it, make it look nice, like the house behind me, and be able to go from there." You know what I mean? So it is all good on that aspect, but that's what Patterson L Properties at the end of the day it's all about, and we like to try to create as much good content as possible all at the same time as well. So don't forget to, if you're watching, please don't forget to hit that like button. It's always greatly appreciated. Hey, Markita, how you doing?
Doing great. How are you?
Oh, I'm doing great. I can't complain. Can't complain. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you for taking time out of your busy day.
Yeah, I'm actually out at my son's baseball game, which was through on the calendar after we had already scheduled our powwow. So it's all good. You just make it happen. Multitask all the way.
Hey, that's what we do in this business, right?
No doubt about it. No doubt about it.
I know that's right. Well, thank you for taking time out of your busy day, especially with the family, because family comes first. Please tell the audience about yourself, please, if you don't mind.
Oh, well, sure. My name is Markita Woods. I'm affectionately known as the Queen of Mortgages. I help people buy and refinance homes in the DC metro area, also in Georgia. However, I have a network of colleagues that believe in the same principle that we want to help buyers and people looking to refinance make an informed decision. So, if you ever need a referral around the country, I'm here to do that. 18 years in the business, and I got the gray hair and the bags to show it.
I know that's right.
Hey, it's real in these streets.
When you're right, you're right. So the first question is, before we really get into it, why did you decide to get into the mortgage industry?
That's an excellent question, and I'll have to be straight up. I just stumbled into it, man. It wasn't like it was a decision of, hey, I just went to sleep, woke up, I want to be a loan officer, right? And you have no kid that ever grows up saying the same thing. Initially, I used to play professional basketball.
Okay.
So I was a member of the WNBA with the Washington Mystics.
Oh wow.
And yeah, so I made it to the highest level. So that's what introduced me to the DMV. I'm originally from Detroit. And on one of our off seasons, I don't know if you guys know about the WNBA, but they play in the summer. So
Mm.
you have basically this entire off season to do something else. So this particular year, I decided not to go overseas and play. Went to real estate school, got a real estate license. Figured, this is only 4 months out the year. I've always liked real estate. Watched every Carlton Sheets tape that ever came out. you know, you know what I'm saying? Thought I was going to be this big investor. And I found out that the class just teaches you how to pass to get a license. Doesn't teach you anything about investing.
Mm.
So I ended up doing one transaction though as an actual realtor, the salesperson, and I knew immediately, Larry, that thing wasn't for me.
Is
Right?
that
I'm
right?
driving around. Yeah, I'm driving around with MapQuest. Okay, I'm telling my age now, but MapQuest in Woodbridge from, living in Arlington in Woodbridge. But a company named Westar Mortgage actually did the loan for some veterans. And the process I found quickly was there is no process without the money.
Mm.
Right. So even though I thought I was important, I figured that, oh man, no, the person who has the gold is the person that's most important in this transaction. Got a degree in financial management when I did go to school. So it was just like, hey, you know what? Let me see what this side of it is about. The owner of the company said, if you're not really feeling driving around, then, you know, check us out, see if you like our industry. And the next season I was scheduled to play, I got hurt right at the end of the training camp, took her up on her offer, and the rest is history. So
Very
I don't know if
nice.
that I chose this thing or whether it chose me.
Well, it's crazy that you say that because sometimes it actually just ends up working out that way.
Yep.
But you fall into something and then you become so good at it, and that you obviously you were working real hard in the WNBA, and congrats to that and kudos to that because I didn't even realize that about yourself. I mean, that is a great and amazing accomplishment, just as amazing as you having your family and as you having the career that you have right now. So definitely kudos, hats off to you on that one. But and
Thanks.
then given the fact that you were getting your financial education while you were playing was even to me even smarter and whatnot. That just proves that you were always about your business. You weren't one sided when it came to anything. Correct me if I'm wrong.
This is correct, and I have to give all of those props to my mom. That's just how she raised me. She was always a hustler, always looking at the next thing, always moving. She was a waitress of actually 30 years, but she
God
always
bless
knew
her.
how to get another stream going or something else. And at the end of the day, I never want for anything, but it was just, seeing her do that as a single parent. Never, I don't recall us ever renting. I think we did rent one place.
Mm.
Maybe I was younger, but always a homeowner, just upward migration on and on to it. So I got to give all of that to mom, saying not being, one sided, thinking this thing's gonna last forever. And in WNBA, it was awesome, right? I can't complain. Like, who gets to say I got
Exactly.
paid to play a game, right?
Exactly.
Even
Exactly.
though the money's not there or wasn't there, it was just an awesome opportunity. But you also know too, your wheels are not gonna last all the time like that
Mm.
long. I have been going hard since seventh grade,
Mm.
right? And you're talking all through college, everything. And I played in the WNBA, but I actually played in a league prior to that, which was the better league called the American Basketball League. So that was really the original league in America that was legit. So I
Mm.
had put some miles on these legs and these knees, and I'm still feeling it. It's like you gotta have that, I know they say you shouldn't have a plan B, but you gotta have that contingency plan or something you kind of got your eye on,
Amen.
ready to move on to the next thing.
Amen to that. I couldn't agree with you more on that one, and especially given the fact that it sounds like you come from that mindset of just always having an upward mobility, moving forward thinking. That is a beautiful thing, especially coming from the good old Detroit area, because obviously compared to here, the cost of living there is 10 times less. And everybody I've ever
You
met
can
from
say that
Detroit,
again.
Everybody I've ever met from Detroit has always had a forward thinking, got to get it mentality no matter what aspect of the game of any industry that they fall into, because they're not trying to be in the category of what a job can stand for some people, just over broke. So definitely a lot of love and respect on that one. So please give me your perspective on the pandemic in itself and how it's actually affected the industry for good, bad, or worse.
Okay. So the pandemic had the opposite effect of what we would see for the overall economy as far as real estate is concerned.
Mm,
And it's just very interesting. It's almost fascinating to me that, while other industries are suffering, lagging, laying off, got people waiting on stimulus checks and things like that, this industry has went the opposite direction.
mm,
Last year, we actually thrived in the midst of a pandemic, which doesn't make sense at all, right? Because the pandemic says you need to stay in your house. But what happened was people realized where their house was. They're spending so much time at home that they don't like it,
mm,
right? Either their space wasn't adequate anymore. If they were renting and they were in an apartment, the shared walls were becoming too much because now
mm.
they're home all day. They didn't even know that little Timmy does 25 jumping jacks at 6 a.m. every day because they were already on the road to get to DC to their good government job. And now they found out that they have little Timmy upstairs working out. They got mom and dad stumping on the floor. Everybody's at home. So the demand to purchase skyrocketed. And the
Mm,
part two of that was we had interest rates dip. So interest rates dipped to the lowest level ever, under 3% for almost 8 months of the year.
mm.
Yeah, when I came in, I'm selling mortgages at 7%, and you would have think, I was giving people gifts because
Wow.
there was a time rates were in double digits, and people still chose to own versus rent because of the financial reasons behind that, security reasons, non-financial, whatever. No matter what the rates were. So
Right,
now you're
right.
talking rates, 2.25 to 2.75%. Even the person with shady credit is coming in right under 3%. you know it starts becoming economics things. It's supply and demand. So now you got all of this demand, not enough supply. So that made the prices go up, which was great for sellers. Appreciation in our market. Hyper local was higher than the average across the country,
Right.
right? So I think in 2020 it was 9.2%, right? So that's a great investment, actually, a 9.2% return on the money for sellers for that particular year last year. So it's been crazy with the rates going down, the
Mm-hmm.
number of people needing to want to change their living situation going up, and then
Mm.
not enough sellers. And see, that's the side part of it where you just had a double whammy because it still is a pandemic. So you still had sellers that were not willing to, open their house up for strangers to walk through. But we've just had the weirdest market ever is what I call it. And it's continuing right into this first quarter of 2021 that, even though the rates have gone up with the change in administration, we
Mm-hmm.
still have too many buyers and not enough sellers. So it's basically made the real estate market is on fire. It's hot. And I'm afraid for some people that if they don't make a move here in the next year, that they could be possibly priced out, right?
Wow.
And I know that what goes up must come down. I
Right.
understand that. However, when we start looking at housing bubbles and crashes and market crashes, we don't have enough. What is it? We don't have enough items, or I can't even think of the proper term, but we don't have enough things for that to happen. Like you got to
Mm.
have enough things for an actual crash to occur, right? So you still
Gotcha.
got record low rates. Now you have over 50% of America with equity in their homes.
Mm.
Okay. You also have the ability to lend is still there because we changed our standards to you have to be able to show the ability to pay. So the
Mm.
last time we had a true housing bubble, we caused that. So we had record appreciation, but that appreciation actually was in the double digits.
Mm.
Okay. So that was in double digits appreciation. You had an oversupply of houses, right? So you had more houses and you had the buyers to match it, right?
Those were the
Because
days, weren't they?
we were giving credit to anybody. Like, hey, you breathing?
Yeah.
Yo, hey, come around this corner real quick. I'm about to pre-approve you for a mortgage. Yo, get in the van. man, I got something back here to help you. I'm about to let you make $30,000 in 6 months by buying a house and flipping it, right? I got, what do you do for a job? Oh, you a hairstylist? Oh, girl, no, you are a hair technician. That's worthy of 100,000 by itself, right? So we were, state income. So you don't have all of the elements to cause a bubble now.
Mm,
So those that think, hey, I'm going to wait on the sideline and not enter this market because I think price is going to drop, I think they have the potential to for real price themselves out of, ever becoming a homeowner. And you never want to say never. And I know that the pandemic, the housing market went totally opposite of whatever we thought, right?
right.
Like if you're a realtor or lender right now in 2020, it was gravy time.
Mm,
And like I said, that's continuing right now. There's multiple offers on just about every property. Now, it's starting to normalize
mm,
some because the rates have gone up and maybe some people have lost some of their buying power now
mm,
because when you shift rates by a half percent, 0.75%, that could take away 10% in buying power, which is huge in our area, right?
absolutely.
Before, if I was at 300,000, now I'm at 270, you put me in a whole different tier of homes that I could possibly look at or that are even available. And so that's what I said, it's going to be interesting how this plays out. I mean, we're hoping by the end of the year with the optimism about the vaccine,
Hmm.
understanding now that we're just going to live with COVID.
Basically, we have no choice. Uh-oh, you freeze up on me. Oh,
That I might have, yeah.
yeah, you're
My
good to go
back.
now. Go ahead.
All right, yeah, I had a call come in. It was a real estate agent. She's probably telling me something about her client that wants to write an offer
Oh
or
Lord, see,
something like that.
I'm
So,
stopping you from business. Look at me.
oh no, not it. Hey, it never stops. You see, I'm right here on the call. It's all good. It never stops. Like I said, the money don't sleep, so why should I?
Amen to that. Amen to that. Amen to
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Right.
But
I'll type a pre-approval letter at a baseball game in a minute.
I know that's right. You got to be able to multitask, right? If you're gonna be successful.
Mhm.
So,
No doubt.
so do you think that with people, the opportunities, especially, and I could see the DMV people being having the opportunities of being priced out, especially if they're not, if they haven't taken this time for those who've still been working for the last year to get their credit together, to get their savings together. I mean, for a lot of I mean, a lot of people still have it hard, especially the people who are unemployed. But for your working people, my personal opinion, a lot of them have an opportunity to not only save money but to pay off debt, to get their credit together, invest in other things, and to even potentially become a first-time home buyer. Take advantage of certain programs like a FHA loan. Obviously, with the people in the DMV, there's so many prior service or people in the military, so they have access to these other resources and whatnot, so that they can, put down 0% even when it comes to a loan. Just pay for the closing costs. Correct me if I'm wrong, but this whole I agree with you 100%. This whole waiting on the sidelines thing, it's not gonna fly this time because the federal government has done a great job ensuring that there hasn't been a foreclosure crisis, and they made sure there's not even a freaking landlord crisis to the point where people are even having to, they've been protecting tenants to the point where people have gotten away with probably almost a year or a year now of not even paying rent. So, and you've had forbearance in regards to
Right.
people not even paying their mortgages. So, this whole myth of, I'm going to wait it out and see, if there's just going to be this whole big influx of houses on the market. My personal opinion, I don't see that happening probably within the next year and a half. What do you think?
I'm 100% in agreement. And when I say priced out, of course, I'm speaking to, our area. And I know that, you have an audience that's nationwide, but I'm speaking specifically about the DMV since we are, in a high cost area that I feel like the time is now. And there's an old saying, you got to strike while the iron is hot.
Yeah.
And I feel like this is that time. Like you said, yeah, we're probably at least a year and a half away from some type of, well, okay, maybe maybe the house is fluctuating or whatever, but at this moment it's just not stopping.
And when you write, you're writing. I mean, and you know as well as I do, or even better than I do, that the moment, because even in a smaller market nowadays, the moment in a house comes on the market, 5 seconds it's gone, or at least 5 seconds, there's 5 to 10 offers or more on that
Yeah.
house. I don't care if you live in the backwoods of Louisiana. It's like it's just like people are just not moving around like that. Maybe at the end of the year, people will feel more comfortable to move around. But like you said, we're in a time frame where people are like, "Hey, this is where I live. I'm staying here. I'm gonna work it out, etc. and so forth." Like people are buying houses not just to buy a house and say, "I'm gonna be here only for a couple of years," and that's that. No, people are like getting more settled now.
They
Especially in
are.
the remote working atmosphere, because you got people that have jobs in New York, but they live in Texas. You know, you have people that have jobs in Washington State or
No doubt.
California, but they live in Florida now. That's becoming the new norm.
I believe that is going to be our new norm, especially if they can still be efficient and turn in the work in a time. I wouldn't want to be on the commercial real estate side right now. I can tell you that because more companies are finding out that people can be efficient working from home. And I was a person that never worked from home. Like if I stay home was working, they'd be like, "Mom, is everything okay? I was like, Everything's cool. Like, what are you doing at home?" And I'm like, okay, but now I'm almost like, come to the office. Wait, no, like you need to send me that stuff via DocuSign. Like, I'm not trying. We need to do one of these Zoom meetings. Like, no,
Exactly.
I don't want to come. I don't want to do it. Now I'm mad because, and you've seen the price of gas here lately. I'm really mad. Like, you want me to drive
Exactly.
over there? You got to be
Exactly.
kidding. So
Exactly.
I did it personally. I mean, we bought and sold during the pandemic because of just that. And although the space that we had was great for where we were,
Right.
I figured out pretty quickly that, oh gosh, this stuff is not as about to change. So I need a dedicated work area and they need dedicated spaces. So we bought and sold during this time. Luckily for me, we were ahead of the curve
Mm-hmm.
before it got to the place where you couldn't win an offer. And that's another
Gotcha.
part right now that's holding sellers up too. Like
Mm.
if I do sell, where am I going?
Mm-hmm.
Because there's not enough inventory. So I think we just had some very perfect timing. Thank God for that.
Mm-hmm.
Just for having an eye for, okay, the time is to do it now, where we were able to buy it and sell without, the debate on the multiple offer situation. And I do think even as someone, I do think I slightly paid more for the home than what it was worth. However,
I believe
it was
that.
worth it. It was worth it because it was the scenario that we needed for our family.
Mm. And you know what? I couldn't agree with that statement more. And it's like you said, at least you did it around that time, because one of my friends, he just sold their house 2 days ago.
Okay.
They've been looking for 2 months and they still haven't found a place.
Yeah. So now you're asking the buyer, can I rent back my own house? Now you're looking at going to stay at the in-laws in the basement. I
Yep,
mean,
that's where they're
or
going,
at
the
the
in-laws.
extended stay. So yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
It's just it's getting rougher and rougher. And I guess my whole thing is, we see the economy somewhat opening up a little bit more and more, so maybe that will somewhat make things normalize. But obviously we have to see what happens, because like you said, with the vaccines just being rolled out, everything is still in the preliminary stages and whatnot. And I just
Right.
until you have like all these millions of people going, at least half of them going back to work, I don't really see people jumping in a rush to move out of their house, or anything, or put the house on the market or anything of that nature, because investors are just itching. And everybody's still playing catch up right now, because I think, what is it, last week has been officially a year since the pandemic shut everything down. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yep. That's correct. Yep. I was it the seventh? Yeah, I think you're right. Yep.
So
Yep.
it's been a year.
It's been a year, but I don't know if it feels like a decade or does it feel like a month. I don't
It
know.
feels like a
I go
decade to
back and
me.
forth on how I feel about that. It felt like a decade, right?
It feels like a decade, to be honest with you. What advice would you give to any first time home buyers in this situation right now?
If I were a first time home buyer or wanting to be a first time home buyer into the market, um, no matter what that time frame is, I don't know whether it's a year away, whether it's 3 months away, whether it's 6 months away, I would start doing right what you said, knowing your numbers,
Mm,
looking at credit, looking at income, looking at assets. I call it the CIA. So
mm,
we're going to do the CIA, check where you are, and decide if you need a plan to pay off debt, or is there a plan that you need to put in place to fix credit.
Mm.
and go from there. So I would say just putting the buying plan in place. You got to take inventory. And it's like, it really is like anything. You really got to know your numbers, right? And I always tell people it's about, as far as credit, I'm so happy about Credit Karma and the fact that we at least are monitoring what happened. But I so hate them because they also mislead people on what your credit score is,
Mm-hmm.
right? So there's levels to this thing. So when you're buying a house, there's a totally different scoring algorithm than a credit scoring model for buying a car, a credit
Mm.
scoring model for a credit card, a credit scoring model that Credit Karma deems this is the credit scoring model that we're using.
Mm.
So if you're serious about moving forward, you need to sit down and talk to a mortgage professional. And people get scared. As soon as that happens, they'll call a realtor. They'll ride by a house and see it. Man, I want to go in. And then when the realtor says, I can't just be taking you in the house, you probably can't even buy the house. Like, go in when it's an open house. If not, I'm just not going to have strangers that can't afford to be walking around people's
Especially
house, right?
nowadays.
I'm trying to respect these sellers, especially
Exactly.
nowadays. So you need to, call my lender, or can my lender reach out to get pre-approved and talk about this. It just shuts down because it becomes real on what you can or cannot do. So I would say
Mm.
you really have to make a decision and then get a check with a local mortgage professional to look at your credit. Use your income before taxes if you're not self-employed and you have a job. If you are self-employed, I feel sad because they're going to look at your after write-off income
Mm.
to figure out what you qualify for and look at your assets and just go from there and come up with a specific scenario. And I always tell people, I like shiny stuff. I got on a bright shiny shirt today. I'm all about shiny. You know what I'm saying? However, sometimes you just got to start where you can start.
Mm.
Like,
Amen to
and
that.
it's just no excuse for not getting started, especially in our area where the average rent in the DMV is about $1,600.
Average.
Um, average, average rent.
Average.
Okay, so that's average. So you're already paying a mortgage, just not your own.
Exactly.
Okay, whether that's a mortgage on somebody residential, or
Mm.
that's a mortgage on a commercial property. Whoever that landlord is, he's taking your money and paying his mortgage,
Mm-hmm.
whatever it is. So I'm like, you always have to explore it, but sometimes you just got to start where you can start. And maybe it's not shiny, but it's still going to be something that, if you have the right exit plan, the right financial team, that can grow equity and make the upward mobility to the next place, right?
That,
And you're not going to do that ever with a landlord and rent. It's just
mm.
not going to happen. The rent is going to go up, and the amenities more than likely are going to remain the same,
Mm.
right? Where
Mm-hmm.
and that's just the bottom line of that. So I'm like, hey, that's what I had to do. I was
Exactly.
like, I had to. I was living in Arlington, like I said, and I sold a house in Belmont Bay and Woodbridge, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna do this mortgage thing. I kind of like it. Like I said, I just tell people, hey, come here, you want to buy a house? I got all kind of loan programs, right? So I got in at a time that was somewhat deceiving, though, about how you really do need to run a business and everything. Like I said, anybody could sell a loan at that time. We didn't have any of the regulation that we have now.
Mm.
There was no credit check, there was nothing. Like, so we did have to overhaul our system. You have to be licensed. They review
Mm.
your credit, background check, all of those different things. So before, we might have had serial killers selling mortgages. Who knows? But at the end of the day, um, I was not going to be a person that was almost hypocritical. I'm telling you to take on this mortgage and buy a house, but I'm renting,
Mm.
right? And I lived in a household that, mom didn't believe in rent. Rather, she was going to do a contract for D, subject to, whatever. Like, she was going to get herself into that ownership position, then refinance back out. Like, I
Right.
watched her do it, and it's interesting. Like, I remember those concepts now, and it meant something, but it didn't at the time, right?
Right. Right.
So I had to buy a house, and I had to look. Well, I was living in Arlington, so I'm like, hey, I'll just get me an apartment right here. I
Right.
mean, a house down here. Okay. Nah, I had to go where my money could afford. So I ended up in a townhouse in Woodbridge,
Mm-hmm.
which, like, it was basic. I
Right.
lived there the first year with no furniture in my living room
Hey.
and was still happy every day when I
Exactly.
came home. Yeah, I
Exactly.
had
Because
no
it was
furniture in the
yours.
living room. I had the stuff from my apartment. I was like, whatever rooms the apartment stuff fill, that's what we doing. But I definitely need to be part of home ownership. So I stayed there for I stayed there for 4 years.
Okay.
Um, Moved out, converted the property to actually
Okay. That's
took
what
an
I'm talking
equity
about.
line and put it down on the next house, and that was like previous. So I had wrote down I'm always gonna in this neighborhood, and I remember I used to show my mom when she would come and visit. She didn't live with me at that time yet. And she'd be like, "Oh yeah, it look nice." I was like, "Yeah, that big, huge picket fence they got." So it's telling me my internet's unstable. Come on, back, internet. So they had the waterfall. So we took the money. Basically, we took the money, moved there, and then I thought I was going to just stay there. I mean, it was a single family home, nice neighborhood, great for the kids. But they stayed there for like 7 years. But we
Mm-hmm.
still were able to move to the next place. And now I do say this is definitely my spot, right? I mean, at
Mm-hmm.
this point, you're 5,000 square feet. I'm not going anywhere else. But I was able to only do those upward moves by living in the place, building equity, and actually what happens is you don't even impact your housing payment as much because you're actually putting money down. And for the most part, rates have been down. So we get into the twos. So the net change for us to add 2,000 more square feet to our life was about $400.
Right.
I can
Right.
find $400 easily.
Right. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely can find that. I just, leave Starbucks, DoorDash, Netflix, and all of that alone. And I got $400 right there.
Bingo.
Right. And I'm not driving. And I got a big old skirt, so I definitely can find $400, right? So I think it's how you do it. But you got to start somewhere, folks. Yeah, it's not going to just miraculously happen. You got to get the plan in place and start working the plan for that first place. Like I said, my place wasn't shiny at all. Yep.
Right.
Well, was the countertops in there like the oven had, but it didn't matter.
And
It
that's all
was
that
mine,
matters. It
and I
was
was I was
yours.
like putting the place where I live to work. Yep,
Exactly. And that's all that matters. It's
yep.
yours.
In the
You're
sense of the word
comfortable,
of
and it
what?
works.
Yep,
I couldn't agree
exactly,
with you. I couldn't agree with you that
exactly. So
more. Last question, because I know I definitely don't want to keep you from the game, but because you dropping some great jewels and definitely want to do this again. Um, so, do you think
sure.
if it's harder for people who are self-employed, what advice do you want to give to the self-employed people in regards to them applying for a mortgage for a home in the future? Because you have more and more people becoming self-employed nowadays. It's becoming the new norm for a lot of people. So, what advice would you give them so that they can get
And
pre-approved?
it really should be as well. It should be right. Like this speaks to the hypocrisy of America in my and my thought process. But we would be going on a whole different tangent if I went there right now. So I'm not going to do that. I am going to apologize to self-employed people right away for the way our industry has not been very kind.
Mm,
We've been very restrictive all of this time, and I'm apologizing for the industry as a whole,
mm,
right? Because what we do is say, hey, become a business owner, be self-employed, take advantage of the tax code. This is what you're supposed to be doing. But when you come to get the mortgage, hey, hold up, buddy. You just took advantage of the tax code. You only make $30,000, even though your gross receipts were 300,000. Somebody paid 750 in taxes or something like that, if I'm not right, based on the tax code, and people were mad. But I'm like, that's what you're supposed to do. But as an industry, we're saying, okay, well, that's fine. But since I only can verify 30,000, I'm going to qualify you on your after write-off income, a
mm,
2-year average of that, to use any of the regular loan programs.
mm,
And we know, like I said, if you're a smart business owner, you're going to write the information off. You don't want to have liability to the IRS.
mm-hmm,
Why would you? They've given you the way not to, and you're doing that, and then we penalize you for it. So there's a couple ways to look at that. You have some people, if you've been in business for at least 5 years, then you can get away with a 1-year tax return and possibly pay more to the IRS and qualify based on that.
mm,
We have started rolling back out though some alternative programs, and you do have people that they'll have the 2-year average. They'll figure out how to maybe claim more money, but then they end up with this IRS liability.
mm,
Which we will still allow you to buy with that. You just have a history of payment for 3 months, depending on the loan type or a payment plan in place. So it just depends on the type of loan that you're going to do as far as conventional FHA. So FHA says you have to at least have made payments for at least 3 months,
mm,
can't prepay them, and whatever that monthly payment is will be counted in your debt to income ratio. But it's a catch 22 because I'm used to writing it off and my income's 30,000, but to buy a house for my family now, out of my 300,000 that I gross, I got to show 150 this year. So of
Wow.
course IRS is knocking at the door, right? So it becomes, like I said, it's a real catch 22. So we are using some alternative programs that are coming back. Now, before self-employed, they were the people that all of the loans that caused the market to crash,
Mm-hmm.
those loans were really for self-employed people. They,
Ah.
they weren't. But what we did, we used them for everybody, right? Because if we were allowing you, if you had great credit, to state your income, if you could show assets, then we were allowing not to verify your income. We were not using your tax returns as a baseline for anything. And
Mm.
so who is that? Who does that benefit? The entrepreneur, the self-employed, the business owner. That's who that really should have been for, and for someone that's savvy. So you have a couple of companies now that are entering back into the space. And it's a few, and they're
Mm.
offering bank statement programs. And basically, what they're saying is you have to be self-employed for at least 2 years. There's no way around that.
Mm-hmm.
Or 1099 for your service professionals that are just 1099 contractors and things. 12 to 24 months bank statements. Deposits will be used as your income. Have an expense factor that has to be factored in. Need at least a 660 credit score. Have to have at least 10% down. The loans have no mortgage insurance. So
Mm.
that's pretty good. However, the rates are higher than your everyday market rates. But I did a scenario for someone else the other day, and it was interesting. The payment, it was like, I want to say it was on 550. I can't remember off the top of my head, but the payment for a conventional loan, 10% down, claim your income, pay the IRS, was like $3,000.
Mm.
A bank statement loan with that same 10% down, we don't want to see your tax returns. Don't even mention tax returns, but we want to see the 12 to 24 months bank statements so we can determine your deposits and what your actual cash flow is divided over a 12 or a 2 year period or 1 year period. That payment was about $550 more,
Mm.
even though the rate was like 6%.
You gotta be kidding me.
No, I'm not. I'm not. And that's
Wow.
because at 10% down on conventional, yes, the rate is low, but at 60 score, you got mortgage insurance, which changes the net effective rate. So, yes, the rate is actually higher. So now you have to, as a business owner, decide, okay, can I do this? Like, would I rather put 10% down on my house at 55,000 versus I just claimed 150 to get this lower rate, but now I owe the IRS 80 grand, right?
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So like, what do you want to do? You want to pay them 80 grand and still need 10% down to buy, or you want to pay them 30 grand or 20 grand? And of course, my numbers are a little, atrocious as far as that, but it's true though. Like,
Right.
seriously, like you are going to owe about maybe about 20, 30,000 just to,
Mm-hmm.
claim the amount of income you need to buy this house, when you could just take that same money and do the bank statement program and go from there. And I think it's a no-brainer, because if you are self-employed business owner, you should be, to me, you probably do think outside the box or have some critical skills as
Mm-hmm.
far as thinking is concerned. We shouldn't be worried about rate. It's about affordability right now, and where's your money going? Are you going to just continue renting? Here's an alternative. As soon as someone says, well, I don't want to pay 6 or 7%, I'm like, what is your return right now?
Exactly.
Like, what are we talking about here? Right. So, hey, go get those 24 months bank statements, get that credit up to 660, and let's get this process going.
Amen. Amen to that. It's like, don't let anything hold you back from your greatness, because I think people forget the power of what real estate really does for you outside of home ownership. Like you said, you can pull equity. A lot of times, after mom and pop businesses that you see even in the DMV area or across the country, it's usually because somebody took out $30,000 to $60,000 worth of equity out of their home, and they put a down payment on their business and whatnot, on the brick and mortar business, or on a commercial property,
Right.
or on another investment property. I mean, the power of real estate is real, but
Right.
most people, I don't think they talk about it enough. It's bigger than just being a homeowner. It's so much bigger than being a homeowner. But definitely appreciate it, Markita, for you taking time out of your busy schedule and your busy day. Please let the audience know how they can reach you and whatnot via telephone, email, or what have you.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on. I was like not gonna miss. I was like, hey, I'm making sure I bring my laptop. Always a pleasure chatting with you as well as following your information. I definitely like the thought process and just want to be involved with like-minded individuals. So I can be reached at queenofmortgages.com is my website. You can find me on Facebook at Queen of Mortgages. My phone number is 703-929-2274. Always can send me a text or a call there. And if your number is suspicious, I will call you back. But I just get too many calls about warranty sometimes. So send me a text and I can be reached by email at queen.mortgages@gmail.com.
Amen to that. All right. Well, thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the day with your family because the weather is very nice and greatly appreciated. And we got to do this again. All right.
Absolutely. Like I said, thanks for having me. Truly my pleasure.
No problem at all. You have a great day.
All right, we'll see you.
All right, family. Thanks for watching. Do the great three free things. Like, share, and subscribe. Have a great day. And as always, remember, make money moves or you will live broke like a fool. Take care, family. I think I forgot to hit the record button. That's what I forgot to do.